Welcome back. In case you are just joining us, we haven't gone too far with this amazing conversation that we need to have, not even on this level, but on all levels. I'm talking about, what's the first thing you teach your child about sexual health? What are you going to tell your 3-year-old, your 4-year-old? Are you going to tell them, don't let anybody touch your pee-pee? What's a pee-pee? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Ladies, I know there's a lot to talk about, but then I think we can dive into this, and maybe you can tell me exactly how you tackle this situation in the community. But like I had said just before we went on a break, what's the right age to start talking to our kids? What are we telling them?
Okay.
Maybe you can start with you.
When I start,
yes.
So at any age, there's no predicting when your child will come and tell you something that is really related to sexual reproductive health.
Yes.
One person, let me just give an example about a certain lady who came to me and asked me, how should I talk to my child about sex? And then later she told me, my girl came and told me that she, she has a crush on someone.
Okay.
That right there is a conversation opener.
Yes, exactly.
What do you know? What do your kids know? And then build from that.
Yes.
Because the more you hold back information,
yes.
we've all been there. We're curious beings.
Yes.
The more I will go out there and look on the internet that I have just said has a lot of unregulated information.
Yes.
So I think what I tell people and what I do with kids who ask me about sex is start from there. What is it you know about sex? And also stop this this quoted language of non-scientific terms that are culturally appropriate because they are not. You know, how when you say pee-pee and kadudu and my flower, it is very distorted. And then I, maybe who is being taught the right language, you come and tell me kadudu, I'm like, what is kadudu?
Yes.
You know, and that is what I would say. First start from what they know and use terms that are scientific, and this is science, this is not bad manners and stuff like that.
Exactly. And just to add on what you've said, it's important to have this conversation, especially and hopefully we are in a position to also protect our children from sexual predators.
Exactly.
And in case it happens, I've seen cases in courts being flown by because the child said, he touched my flower. It's not a recognized language. We're not that advanced, and it is what it is. What is a flower? And I think it's important to tell them, no, this is your penis, this is your vagina, this is your nipple, and it's your private part. Personally, I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, and we go over this conversation every 2 weeks. We have, and where we are, they know and they respect my space. With kids, especially the 4-year-old, he won't know when not to enter the room. In fact, in the bathroom, standard when he's at home and I disappear in the bathroom, he waits for me outside. But before that, he would just come and stare at me. And you have to explain, Papa, this is my private moment. So even for him, you can't dare be near him when he's doing his private business, and he says, it's my private moment. You'll see my private parts, you see my penis, and you're not supposed to touch it. And I think it's the same thing. Start early, know the language to tell your kids at that early age, and then move on to now when they start telling about the crushes and then the period and all that. Yes,
so
Maureen.
Add on to this beautiful conversation, especially about when we should teach the kids. We have grown up in households where you asked your mom, where did you get the child? And I will say, plain dropped the baby, or I bought them from the supermarket. And you see, this is how you grow, knowing the child was bought from the supermarket. So you don't expect that when you have a first sexual encounter, you're supposed to get a child, because that was not a supermarket you went to.
Exactly.
And these things are rife, like they're happening.
Yes.
And I mean, also about a lot of, there's a time, I don't know whether it was a conversation online, and people were talking about their childhood traumas.
Yes.
And somebody that is really grown is talking about having been abused as a child. and they did not know that was abuse.
Oh no.
You know?
Oh, no.
It's because nobody told them it was wrong for somebody to touch you, to repeatedly, I mean, to touch you anywhere, you know?
Goodness,
So, and people are opening up as adults, like at my age now.
Yes.
That is when they're talking about these things. Say, oh, you know, our house help used to do this to me.
Imagine.
Then I didn't know it was abuse.
Yes.
And you know, the minute you tell your child, you know what this is called, your penis, it should not be touched by someone inappropriately. It is only for you to handle, because the point where you can have a conversation with your child, it is you who teaches them. You teach them, it is you who put information into their head. So while you're teaching your child these things, if somebody touches them, they will tell you, you know what, mom,
100%.
you told me this should not happen, but somebody did this to me. And then you will know this is abuse, and you will take it up from there. Instead of somebody just keep quiet and saying, after all, it's a kadudu. Like all of us know we step on dudus. Like you see them, you touch, or you slap them, or you take the day, you know, the grasshopper, you touch the legs, and you almost domesticate it.
It's true.
And that is exactly what will happen. You see, and look, let's teach our children. You know, we have relatives who come home, and you know, even children give consent. I have seen people forcing hugs on babies, and I almost want to come down and bring my advocacy in family gatherings. I'm like, no, why are you hugging the child? It is important to say, hi, baby, is it okay? Can I hug you? If they say yes, it's okay. Because their children know already say, I don't want to hug you, auntie. I don't want to hug you. Or children are just giving your child kisses, and your child doesn't want them. You know, there are children who even resist. They're like, no, no, no. Or after you do that, they rub themselves.
It's true.
That's a communication.
I agree.
And that is where it begins. So from that is where we start having this conversation. As look, the day your child comes to your house and asks you, where did you get the child? This is where you start telling them, try to tell me where you think the child comes from. Or even when you're when you're walking around the house with a big stomach, and then the next day it disappears, and the child is like, where is this? Did the stomach go?
Did you eat the baby?
Yes, I mean, stop saying I went to the supermarket,
I get that conversation.
I mean, that is where we begin these conversations, and then you graduate them. Also, there's also the, what do we call it? Different kids in different areas develop differently. There's a term we use for it that has run away because of the camera. Anyway, evolving capacities of different children. So your child also, you need to monitor them and see, so that you graduate them with this information as they grow.
And since we are already on the topic and we know this is inexhaustive, now that we're talking about these children learning what this is, personally, I've also taught my boys how to act in case. Like my youngest is a very good, he kicks and he can bite. And I usually tell him, if anybody does that, what do you do? And he says, I bite and I kick and I scream. He can scream, he has lungs for days. And I say, I think, you know, because he was not strong enough to probably prevent this. But I tell him, if in case that happens, this is what you do. But what are the tell signs of children who are being abused?
So mostly, you know, when abuse happens, you will have, because parents normally monitor how their children behave. You know, how do you know your child is sick, for example? If it's a playful child, you realize they're not playing anymore, probably they're withdrawn. I will not speak much on this because I'm really not an expert on you know, deconstructing abuse. But I'd say some of the signs will be probably there's something that is off from their normal behavior. So either he was a playful child and is no longer playing, or is rebelling. Somebody that was in the house and they were probably close and is behaving like they don't want to go close to them, and then you're forcing them, why don't you want to hug uncle? And maybe uncle did something that put the child off, but you're there insisting, please go hug uncle, please do this and that, please do this and that. Nowadays, now, you know, in the new era
where we've let our children express themselves
to our children, we're like, please hug uncle, and maybe uncle did something that was not right to the child.
Very true.
So I feel like changing the way they behaved around a certain person, or even being withdrawn, or losing interest in some specific things that really interested them, could be a sign of of abuse.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so and it calls for you to dig into it and find out exactly what is happening.
All right.
And maybe just to add something, not on this telltales, because she's covered what I would have said, but also in talking to kids about sex and telling them, you know, this is what should happen, this is what should not happen. I think, I don't know about you, but I know we both were introduced into the sexual conversation with threats, and you know, we knew babies come from the supermarket. Now I have my period, and you're like, you go near boys, you know, you get pregnant.
Very confusing.
So the moment anyone introduces me to a conversation with threats, if something happens, I am never going to tell them that something happened.
Exactly.
So even as we're talking about it, if, like I said, if my child comes and tells me they have a crush, it's not to condemn them. You know, start the conversation softly. Create an environment where if something is wrong, first of all, you will notice, and second of all, your child will feel safe enough to come and tell you something happened.
And also, we have so many things to say to this, because I mean, this is not just only, I mean, reproductive health is wide, like we say when we began. It's not just about sex, you know, like while I am developing, a lot of things are happening within me, and that is why she's talking about a crush, for example. And I mean, this is where we will start to have conversations even about my body as a girl, you know, such that even I am monitoring myself, and probably when I'm starting to have a discharge, I'm able to tell my mother, you know what, ma, you told me, but something is coming out. So sometimes it is even hard, you know, like when we started our periods, we wanted to hide. You don't even know who to talk to.
Oh my goodness,
it was crazy.
Like it was yesterday.
Me too.
Worst experience.
It was
unbelievable. To date, no, sorry, let me just interject. To date, I hate pads. I hate the feeling of something coming out of me. And I think I didn't even realize it until every time my bathroom has got to have tampons. So mini, normal, and super. And sometimes when the discharge has changed and it's heavier, I'll even use it, just the feeling, and I know for a fact it's a trauma I have.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, us not even being able to tell our folks that our periods have come. And you know, because we didn't have this conversation from the beginning, you know, and that is why when your child is telling you, this is happening to me, this is happening to me, sometimes you can even be able to tell, looks like we are about to expect Mrs. Red sooner, you know, and you start getting prepared to have that conversation. And this is where now you're even talking about hygiene. Because I mean, how many times do even people have things, you know, sometimes, I mean, it's good to say this because there are some ladies who have discharge that actually does stain their panties. And how often have people thought they are sick and they want to hide and
it's
run?
Quite normal.
And these things even hinder you from having normal, proper relationships, even with guys when it's time to have them.
Or
you
even,
know,
you'll even find women who are long married, they're mothers of 3 and 4, but they can tell you straight up, I don't enjoy this thing.
Absolutely.
You can, or we have found women who are like that. It is something that is happening. And I think to just come back into, it's not just about the sex conversation. I remember the first time that I learned wipe from front to back. And I was like, wow, okay, I did not, I was a grown-up. You know, I was big. This time I could access YouTube and, you know, but how many people didn't know that? And even if I got sick, I remember there was a time I got sick when I was very young. I had no idea what was wrong. I couldn't tell my parents yet, and I waited for too long. And I am telling you, you do not want to wait for too long when you have a UTI or you have an antibacterial
that thing
infection.
Is bad,
It is painful. You know.
Oh my God.
And then I thought, if I tell my mom I'm sick, she's gonna ask me, "What did you do?" You know.
And most likely
that was going to happen. You know. And that is a thing. And even like the conversation the other day, I saw a conversation going around online about how the vaginal discharge is acidic, and sometimes it's going to change the colors of your panties. How many times did I think I was sick when I saw that?
Or embarrassed.
And the embarrassment.
Or switching to the fancy nylon panties because they're less likely and then they're harmful.
And how often are people able to switch to nylon panties? It's not. I mean, considering the demographic I work with, I don't even think that is a conversation we can have. It's not something I'd even front in a conversation with them. So I mean, I'm also sharing my experience of when I first had a UTI, I think, earlier. And then when I joined college, I also had a UTI.
Yes.
But when I was in college now, I knew better. So I went to hospital and I was treated.
Yes.
And then that is when I remember there is a time I was really scratching. Like I'd wake up for real, go to the bathroom, scratch, and then come back and sleep, you know. Because at the time I didn't know that it was a UTI. And if I told anybody there was a problem with this area, they would say, oh, this one, we can't salvage. She's over. And how many people would have treated me for some weird sexual transmitted infection, you know, and a UTI does not necessarily come from
it's actually a urinary tract infection.
It
has nothing to do with sex.
Infections as well.
You know, and it is actually it was surprised to know like it is really very, I mean, prevalent in women, you know, including the wiping, you know, could actually cause you.
The toilet. We are recently, sorry, I'm so excited about this. You know, recently learning how to drop tissue in the toilet. So that you don't get a splashback.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
You know,
I'm learning these things just the other day.
And these are things we ought to have known, you know, just about how to care for your body. And I mean, it is just just another thing, you know.
The duration,
so this information needs to begin early. You know, when mothers hear us say reproductive health, they go like, oh, those people of sex again.
Thank you. It's true. It's true. So talking of which, can we balance this quick, with the work you do? How much do you involve both genders? Because when you're talking of this topic, it's just not the women. How do you involve the other gender? Don't put you on the spotlight.
Very interesting.
Yes, tell me.
So, I will start. I think Maureen is going to give a little bit more about it. Our work is very focused on women and girls. When look at the conversation that we're having right now. The issues that we've talked about the most are surrounding women and girls. The moment you hear reproductive health, it's usually 99% of the time issues that affect women and girls.
Very true.
And I identify as a feminist. As a feminist, my job is to bring equality. For equality to happen, equity has to happen first. So at this point, the position of women and girls in every platform is lower than that of men. And so first, let's deal with these women themselves, give them the information, uplift them, give them the services that they need, and then now we can talk. And the position of men in this conversation is to be allies, understand, first of all, come and understand and wear my shoes, see from my perspective, listen as I explain my experiences, you know, and then now, you know, bring your whatever input you want to bring, but with the intention to learn, with the intention to be involved in a way that validates my experience as a woman.
Absolutely.
So that is what I can say about the position of men in this. And what I'm saying is we are an organization that is very focused on women and girls. The moment we find an organization that is focused on men and boys and they're doing amazing work, we shall be allies the same way we're asking for them to be allies.
Wonderful. And I think there's a lot of new conversations going around, and everybody's saying the girl child is so empowered, but the truth is you cannot empower a woman enough. It's still a man's world.
No, at the same time, if we're saying the woman, the girl child is very empowered, then let's do this in a measurable way. Let's look at the statistics. Let's look at the facts. Let's look at the position of women after all this work that we have still done.
And again, I'm coming, and this was more personal than it is, you know, putting you on the spotlight, because I'm raising boys. And I want to raise boys who, when their classmates who are girls have stained their dress, they're able to give out their sweater and say, it's okay, cover up or protect them. I want my boys to be able to tell off that older gentleman who is trying to prey on his classmate or his cousins. I want to raise boys who, when their husbands and I'm on my period, or rather their girlfriends or their wives are on their period, they're so empowered such that they'll know how to support. And we've seen so many skits, although they're meant to make us look like the devils when we're on our period. You throw a chocolate at her. But I think I think we have the position, and we're in a position to change that narrative. And also, let these kids know, like, hey, in as much as these things don't happen to you, what can you do for your sis? What can you do for your classmate, or anybody around you? Because when that class for demonstration for the pad, I think the boys should be there in that class as well. They should be there. They should be there. Definitely not to invalidate by any way or means what you do. It's more or less like empower the girl. But like I had said at the very beginning, the pregnancies, the sexually transmitted diseases, all these things, it takes the two to tango. And also there's another aspect where the boy child is sort of, when you go down to to take the pads or educate the girls, I've been to a few of these situations, and you find the boys sitting in a corner and they're like, why are we being isolated? They ask for basic things, the boxers or football. They're in a different world and they want to be empowered differently. But again, that's why we have this open conversation to go on.
All right.
Yes.
I hear you. And when you asked the question about the boy child, of course I followed you a little bit on your social media, so I know you have boys. And I knew could tell it was coming from a personal perspective, which is absolutely okay. Because even as we are not devoid of the men in our lives, our husbands, our fathers and our brothers as well, and we want them to do better, especially now,
and single fathers,
girls. Absolutely, and especially now that we're in this course. So I will say this about the voice of the man in this all this work, that it is very much welcome.
We're your allies.
They should be our allies. But for you to be in the space of women, for example, if you look at now, let's look at women in the political space. They must have worked to earn the space.
I agree.
We did not just wake up one morning and say, okay, we are now empowering women, come on board.
No,
it was work that was done. And the women that are there have actually earned their places, and you can point to a few and say we have seen their contribution in the political arena.
Absolutely.
So the same case applies to men coming into the space of women to understand their lived experiences. Already we know we have patriarchy, which is a system.
Very true.
And all of us have grown in the system. And you'll be surprised there are women that are gatekeepers of patriarchy. They are here to propel the tenets of the system that is
those
patriarchy.
are those who ask you.
Kwa nini unafanya engineering? That is where it begins. Brother wako ndiye anafaa fanya engineering, wewe ndio unafanya secretarial.
Thank you.
Or your brother has eaten and the plate is still here. Take it to there.
Thank you.
And your brother is a human being, and removing a plate from a table is a survival skill, basic survival skill for human beings. So, when I look at this, I look at the system already favors the man or the boy child. So for a man to be found in this space, they must have realized their privilege and put their power in check. Such that they are resonating, they are not invalidating your experience, they are resonating with it. They're saying this system has actually done this to you. And how I will support you is not to come to your place and speak as a woman, but create this space for you as the woman to speak your experience.
Absolutely.
And I give them an analogy when we were in the office, and I ask them, look at the Mau Mau War, for example. I definitely know there were Wazungus who felt, Maze, Aki, we are testing these Africans. It's time we packed. But they would not be the leaders of the Mau Mau War, because Ajungu could not be there saying, oh, by the way, all guys give this guys the independence, blah, blah, blah. It had to be, you people are feeling this way, but it has to come from you that this is what you're feeling. What will the Jungu do? Empower these people. Get them the damn guns. Tell them, okay, the Wazungus have assembled in Kapsabet. All guys go down Kario Valley and come through that route. That is how they would have it. So this is how the men will contribute in this space. Bring the young boys together. Tell them, okay, our sisters have suffered in
Yes.
our power,
Yes.
and it is time we put our privilege in check and our power, and empower them, support them, so that all of us now come to the same table and have conversations from the same level. That is the space of boys in our space. I hope I explained it.
Wonderful. All I can tell you is that personally, I know I'm going to do my best.
Yeah, sure.
There's a reason why I have those 2 boys. But I'm going to teach them. I'm going to equip them with what I know. And I'm a huge advocate also for a girl child and her reproductive health, because I think it's important.
Absolutely.
It's very important. But yes, an empowered woman will be able to tell this person, excuse me, I don't need your 50 shillings for pads. I can find another way to go about it.
Absolutely.
All right. So quickly, in under 1 minute, what's your final word? What's your desire? What's going through your mind after this conversation? Let's start with you, Lucy.
What's going through my mind right now is we live in a system that is already established, a system that is oppressive. And I am very passionate about laws and policies that are supposed to be changing the system that is not working for us. So this goes to everyone, but I think specifically to the government, because we have a new government that is incoming. My ask is, can we prioritize sexual reproductive health and rights in the right way? Such that we take an approach to policies and to laws, to implementation in all its entirety, in a way that includes every single person, because that is my right in the Constitution, irrespective of my position, my gender, my religion, my conscience, my beliefs, my race, irrespective of anything. I have a right to access this information, to access the highest attainable standard of health. So my call to action would be to the government. Can you do your job? Prioritize, especially for adolescents and young people. This is a marginalized group. Can we prioritize their right and give them what is, what is owed to them?
For theirs. Yes, absolutely.
And as a young person, of course, what is owed to me.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, so I think, oh my God, I will also still talk about policy. Because I mean, policy advocacy is at the heart of what we do. We will not be doing this work if we do not have a legal framework that it is anchored on. And so, especially now that we are having the review of the adolescent reproductive health policy, dear government, please, just do the right thing. Because I mean, the people I work with are so vulnerable. And I mean, of course we don't have the resources, but I know government can do something about it. So I am really looking forward to a prioritization of the sexual reproductive health of adolescent girls and young women, so that our song on teenage pregnancies, and we don't want to lead on those things. Let the Kipchoges lead. We want to take those medals. But when it comes to teenage pregnancies, we really want to be at the tail end of the grid.
Thank you. Let's do better. Let's do better.
Much better.
Thank you, ladies. I wish I can have you longer than this. But I'm blessed personally just by your presence, by your conversation, and I wish you nothing but the best. For sure, any support you need for us to come witness what you do, feel free.
To reach out.
Thank you so
much.
Not
trying, you're reaching out.
You're reaching out, definitely.
Wow, guys. I don't like this part of the show because the conversation gets sweeter towards the end. It's like eating the chocolate and you're like, 2 more bars left and you start nibbling. Yes, but I think what Maureen and Lucy are doing should be a challenge to each and every person. First, seek education so that you can know what you're dealing with. It's okay to be where you are because times are changing, the policies are changing, the education which is filtered from the good and the bad is there. The conversation can't come to an end and you do your part. If you're a parent, take care of your children, have an honest conversation with them. If you're a teenager, don't be afraid to go to your teacher or your parent and tell them this is what's going on with me. Don't panic. Just stick to your truth. I can't add any more than that, but to say it's been a pleasure to host this show tonight, and I can't wait to see you next time. But if you have something to tell us, please feel free to reach us out on Y254, and we'll be happy to just hear your story and host you Until then, bye-bye.
Thank you.